You're wasting both time and money by cold calling. You need to stop and start using more leveraged outreach. Here's how. My name's Richard. I dropped out of high school to start my own lead generation business. This is my journey. Welcome. Everyone pretty much knows what cold calling is, right? Cold calling has been around forever, for pretty much forever, and was first documented in 1873, right? But the thing is, what is cold calling? Well, a cold call is essentially taking and picking up the phone, calling either a lead, potential prospect up, someone who can potentially buy your service, product, whatever you're offering, in hopes to book a meeting or sell them, right? Whatever you're selling. So how do we use it in business, right? Well, cold calling connects you, the person, to the prospect, right? And obviously we have to do it a few times because each cold call equivalent to one prospect. So we can't obviously call multiple people at one time. We can't speak to multiple people at one time. So every time we call one person, that's one cold call. So obviously we have to do this a few times, right? Because we're not going to book every single person. So we have to go cold call, no, cold call, no, yes, and then eventually you may book some, right? However, in about 5 hours, you can make 100 calls and about 55% of the people pick up the phone. From that, you probably get to about 30% of decision makers. On every 5th person, you might book someone. Therefore, you book 3 appointments every 5 hours. Now let's take a look at how many calls it would take to book an appointment, right? So this is about how many calls it would take you guys to book one appointment. So this is about 5 hours worth of calls. Now, as you can see, this is not ideal, right? We don't want to spend 5 hours to just book 3 appointments where one of them or two of them, two may not be even qualified and the other one may never even show up, right? So as you can tell just from this, it clearly isn't leveraged because we're not getting good output from our input, right? It's essentially fishing for prawns one at a time, which is a stupid idea. No fisherman goes out, starts fishing for prawns one by one, right? Because it's just stupid, right? Because one prawn isn't really that valuable. So why would you put so much time and effort into it? So this is essentially, right, you do so many calls, however we get low amount of leads. Now, this is not ideal. If we want to scale, build million, billion, whatever, $1 trillion businesses, we cannot rely off this. It's not going to take us far. So we want to get something more leverage, right? We want to get some leverage outreach. So this is a little bit of a graph, right? So results is how many leads we're going to get, and then time and sacrifice. We want to have the lowest time and sacrifice as possible. That includes cost. And however, we want the highest results possible. Now we can see cold calling takes a lot of time, is expensive to get phone number leads, expensive for dialers, expensive to get people on board as well. So it takes a lot of time and sacrifice. However, we also only get a low amount of leads. Now we don't want this, right? We want something where we only have to, it's cheap, right? We don't have to spend too much time doing it. However, we get a lot of leads, right? We want more results from less input. So leveraged outreach is essentially like using a fishing net, right? We throw the net out to a certain amount of people, right? And we're able to take them all at once. Now it's a lot quicker. We get a lot more people. And even if some aren't qualified, we're still going to be able to get qualified people, right? So this is things like email campaigns, right? Maybe even paid ads. My personal favorite is cold emails, right? It's leverage, right? In 1 hour, you could write up an email campaign and send it out to 2,000 leads. Now, as you can tell, from those 2,000 leads, we're probably going to book more than obviously just 3, right? For only a 5th of the time input. Now this just shows us how much more leverage it is. Because let's even say we only did get maybe 30 meetings from 2,000 leads, which I'm sure you guys can do much, much better. And we do much, much better for our clients. But let's say you only got 30, right? From 30, you're still going to close more compared to just doing those 3 or whatever, 5 or whatever it was from the cold calling. So cold email, right? Much less input, however we're getting such a much higher amount of leads out, right? This is where we want to be, because I'm sure just like yourself and me, right, we don't want to be sat there doing cold calling for whatever 9 hours straight a day or having to pay 10 people all to do cold calling. We would rather spend an hour maybe writing up a cold email campaign than being able to send it out to 2,000 people to book a lot of meetings, right? This is ideally where we want to go because we can scale it. We can go from launching it to 2,000 leads to 10,000 leads, right? Still takes the same amount of time. Yes, it may be a little bit more expensive, but we're able to maneuver and get to that point in time after we're strong with the basics, right? However, we're never going to get to the point in time with cold calling where we can contact 10,000 people within 1 hour. So from there, tells us cold calling is not leverage, right? We cannot scale it, so we need to focus on more scalable channels of outreach if we want to build a scalable business, right? And I'm sure you guys do, I do, that's what our clients want as well. They don't want to be stuck there cold calling, right, for 9 hours a day, having 10 other people cold calling. No, not leveraged at all. We want to be able to scale the business and get to the point, right? If you guys want to learn how, I've actually done a whole video on how you guys can do your own cold email campaigns. So go ahead, watch that one. In the link as well, there's actually a template that you guys can use to build your own cold email campaigns. Very valuable, only going to take a second, right? This is how you guys are going to be able to start using leveraged outreach to bring in real results compared to being a slave for your time. We don't want to be a slave for our time. We want to be leveraged, right? Hope you guys got a little bit of value out of this, and I hope that you guys can take something away, go implement it into your own business, and start seeing some real results. Thanks, guys.